but everyone see the slides all right? How to use LinkedIn and live webinars to grow your business. Can everyone see it? Good stuff. Great. You can all see it. Good. So again, this stuff today that I'm going to be talking to you about, it's kind of come from all the work that we've been doing over the last probably 3 and a bit, coming up to 4 years now. Now, for those of you that have not followed me for a long time whatsoever, webinars have been a thing that I've used right from the start. I started off terribly, and now they're not so bad. In a way that I speak, in the way that I communicate, it's taken a lot of training and a lot of effort, but I obviously consult on lots of other people's. We have an academy that's got over 300 people in now, and the majority of them are running webinar campaigns, is how we call it. And one of the things that I see time and time again, because we've worked on so many, are some common pitfalls really as to why people struggle. Now, just before I reveal the 5 reasons, out of interest, for those of you that are here today, could you just put me like a yes if you've ever run a webinar before, or a no, an N if you haven't? I'd just be interested just to see kind of like the mix of today. So we've had 3 or 4 yeses come through. Now, it tends to be about a 50-50 split. Now, we haven't got a huge number of you on today because it's been a rescheduled thing, but it looks like there's around about 30 of you that are saying yes, and probably 15. So there's more people saying yes than there is no. That's cool. Okay. So some of this you probably will resonate, especially if you've ran them before. If you haven't, this is all going to be new, right? So like really with this, what I want you to kind of take a moment to think about is, as I reveal each of the reasons why I find most people failing, I just want you to think to yourself whether any of them specifically apply to you. Now, the first one is when it comes to your online relationship building. So when it comes to talking to strangers online, when it comes to content creation, when it comes to sending messages to people, any work that you're doing on a social media platform, you're doing it, but it's not really getting the result that you wanted. And therefore, you're not able to build a relationship with someone unless you either get a word of mouth referral so that they're already warm, or there's someone that just knows you from like your previous background. Those types of people you don't have a problem with. But when it comes to forming relationships with strangers, people struggle to actually get across the real compelling reasons as to why they should work with them. That is something that I see time and time again when people are running workshops. They're not able to really lay out thick the credibility they've got and communicate it in a way that helps a stranger understand what it is that they're about and how they can help them. Number 2 is a real simple one. It's actually the one that most people struggle with. It's that they know that they're good at what they do. They feel that they can communicate it pretty well. However, the audience size that you've got just isn't big enough. You just need more people to talk to. And when it comes to consistency with that, it's month in, month out growth rather than peaks and troughs and feast and famine type growth. So for me, what I would rather is slow and steady. I actually would rather fast and consistent, right? But if there's anything, slow and steady, just consistent growth, time and time again, that's going to allow me to continuously nurture a stranger to the point of becoming a customer. You just need to build your audience. Number 3 is probably the bit that I find the most interesting. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to this stuff. However, lots of people aren't. But what I find typically when I speak to people, and to give you context, I speak to probably around 50 to 60 people a month, like new businesses, talking around their marketing and sales processes. And one of the things that I think becomes evidently clear, especially in this micro business world, sub £5 million a year turnover, is that they don't have a predictable and sustainable process that nurtures someone from stranger to customer. So I'm going to share with you our process in this presentation and what we do, so you can kind of take that and apply it in your own way. Number 4 is when you're running workshops, right? When you're out there running a workshop like I am today, you stuff it full of valuable information, right? You almost give as much content as you possibly can. And then at the end of it, because you don't really like the feeling of selling, you slap like a little, and book a call in with me if you're interested, type call to action at the end. And therefore nobody buys from you. So you spend lots of time putting these sorts of workshops together, creating content, but they don't generate you the sales because the structure isn't right. And then the 5th point is the one which I'm going to spend quite a lot of time on today. And it's around this term messaging. Now, people talk about having an effective message a lot online, but actually one of the things that we specialize in and have to get really, really clear with anyone that we work with is how do you deliver and frame what you do in a way that gets a stranger to actually understand what it is to the point where they want and need to buy it. That is just classic psychology, which I'm going to tap into throughout today's presentation for you as well. So with those 5 on the screen there, what I'd love to know is which one, if you were going to pick one, most relates to you. Now, some of them, for some of you, it might be a multitude of them. It might be all of them. For some of you, it might be one that sticks out like a sore thumb. Now, what I tend to find is most people pick 2, right? That tends to be the most consistent choice that people pick. However, I'll be really, really interested. And the 2s come in like right on, cool, fair enough, cool. We've got a couple of people. So Laura, you've said 1. Karen, you've said 1 and 2, 2 and 5, 1, 2, 3, 3 and 5. Okay, cool. So we've got a bit of a mix really of everything that's coming through. And that's totally fine, because today I'm going to be covering 3 different key parts to this whole webinar process, I guess. I'm going to start with positioning, so all around like your message and your audience. I'm then going to move through into the actual process end to end, and then I'm going to talk to you about the presentation and the psychology behind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through it step by step. If you have any questions as we go through it, please use the Q&A function as we go. Now, I don't spend too much time talking about me whatsoever in these sorts of workshops. I know you don't really care too much. There's no sob story here. But just so you know, like in terms of what I'm going to be sharing today, everything has come from my own firsthand experience. So I have documented my business journey online since I was just turned 21. So around about 5 years ago now, 6 years ago now. So it's about, 22, 23, to be fair. And everything from all my blunders, all my mistakes, all my wins have all been shared. So if you ever want to go and check out anything that I'm saying, just go scroll back. If you ever get bored enough, it's there. I've run over 200 of these webinars personally now, and I've consulted on a lot more. And the actual strategy, we track the sales that our customers make when it comes to this. And it's been a very, very successful strategy over the last few years. And what I do on my LinkedIn profile, and that QR code there, if you scan it and you come and connect with me, you'll see the insights that I share on my LinkedIn profile. But if you come and scan that QR code, what you'll see is kind of everything from start to finish of what I've done. And my real focus point when it comes to this marketing world is very much on how do we communicate with people that don't know us? And actually, what is it that makes people buy things? That's what I spend the majority of my time looking at. And whether we're doing audits, whether we're doing strategy sessions, whether we're doing demos, whether we're doing webinars, there's loads of different ways for you to be able to effectively nurture clients. Today, I'm just going to be talking about webinars because that's just the theme of this workshop, right? So there are multiple different ways in which you can generate business online. This is just one method that acts as a conversion-based piece of content, which you can use and leverage to actually drive traffic towards to generate some sales. Now, when I look at this stuff, I think it's really important to add the context and set the scene. I chose workshops because I used to speak publicly quite a lot. So I used to travel the country, going to networking event after networking event. And what I realized was that actually it was really inefficient. Although I was building great relationships, I was limited to the event organizer putting people in a room. And therefore, what I had to think about was how could I use social media, use any platform that was available to me to be able to get my message heard by more and more people. Now, for those of you that have followed me for a while, you know that Instagram was my main platform. I have around about 30,000 followers on that platform. It was literally the life and death of my property business. Is how we raised all of our finance for it. And also then when I moved into having a social media agency, it was the main source. But just after the pandemic hit, Instagram released a new piece of content called Instagram Reels, and it basically destroyed the algorithm for what I used it for. So whereas I was very much a photograph type content creator, I was a copywriter, they moved it to a short form video type platform, which basically isn't my preferred content type. I'm going to be talking to you about that a little bit later on, because it's important for you to understand what your preferred content type is to be able to have the best effect. But because of that change, I made the switch and I started to explore pretty much every platform that I could get my hands on. And I actually stumbled across LinkedIn events. Now, LinkedIn is a platform which is continuously growing. I think they've just crossed 1 billion active users now every single month, which is a really cool stat. Doesn't mean too much to me. However, what it does show is growth, and it shows that there's attention on this platform that you can tap into. I also love the fact that it was a business to business type platform as well, which is perfect for the business that I'm in. Now, what I didn't realize when I first started using LinkedIn specifically was LinkedIn events and the power of them. I thought they were a feature to be able to promote LinkedIn lives. I didn't realize you could use them in the way that I'm going to show you today to be able to collect new traffic and reach thousands of people. When you use them correctly, when you connect them to an effective LinkedIn profile and a converting webinar, they act as the bridge to be able to get your notifications and your name out there every single month without fail in a non-pushy and non-salesy way, which is a key part to this whole psychology. And when I look at the numbers of everything that we've tracked over the last 3 and a bit years, we've generated over 11,000 leads now without having to spend a penny on advertising. Now, we do use paid advertising as one of our methods. It's something that we do like encourage people to do when they get their sales processes converting organically. And if I looked at our Facebook data, 11,000 email addresses collected on Zoom would typically cost around about just over 100 grand. It's a huge, huge outlay for not confirmed result, especially when there's methods that you can use to collect them for free. You can see here, now this isn't email addresses collected, there's 242 attendees. Typically with that sort of event size, we'd get 40 to 50 new email addresses off the back of that event, which again, for free, isn't bad when it's just button clicking to be able to do it. And if you to look at just one set, which I took back in August, you can see like our average lead. So this is registration. This isn't show up rate whatsoever. This is just registration, was around about £9 a lead. It soon multiplies and it soon grows. And what you've got to realize is that there's ways to be able to gain traffic, to gain people's attention for free if you just use the right tools. Now, just out of interest, is anyone currently using the LinkedIn event functionality? Just give me a Y if you currently are, and an N if you're not. I'd just be interested to see if anyone's actually used it. So the majority of people is a no. So this is that virtual kick up the backside, really, to get going. For me, they're extremely powerful. Now, they're not the be-all and end-all. They're not everything. However, when you do connect it to a process that you can see here, it's really effective in terms of how you can generate consistent sales. And this is how we've been able to sign 15 to 20 clients every single month without fail for the last 18 months. It's this process. And to give you like the sheer fact of the numbers with this, right, on the left-hand side, if I can get in a month 1,000 people to declare interest, right, in a LinkedIn event to say that they're going to attend, what you can expect is, and this is worst case, a 25% conversion rate. So 1,000 people, 25% would mean you'd get 250 registrations. With 250 registrations, currently, if your webinar is structured in the right way, titled the right way, you can expect a 50% show up rate. So you go from 250 registrations to 125 signups, show ups. And with those 125 people that show up, the way that the webinars convert, you should expect a minimum of 10% to convert through to book a sales call with you. And it's that math that gives us the 12 clients minimum every month. Now, we get a lot more than that because of, again, the way that our profiles are working. We use multiple profiles to invite to LinkedIn events, so our numbers are higher. So what that means is that your marketing just becomes a numbers game. And it's about understanding, getting the right message to build your audience up, getting the right webinar to draw people in, and having the right message throughout that webinar with the right offer to generate your sales. Now, all of this matters, and all of the little bits in here, all the small changes will affect your conversion rates along the way. And it's this stuff that's really important to know. And as I move into this first section here, I think it's really important to focus in and look at this graph here on the left, on what I've got on screen. On the left-hand side, when it comes to connection, then we move into control and conversion. The way that you position yourself is crucially important. And I've split positioning into 2 parts for you. The first part is around your messaging, and then we're going to go into audience afterwards. But if we're going to begin with message, What I see time and time again online right now is people putting lots of effort in, but not really speaking or posting content, should I say, that actually gets any attention or any engagement whatsoever. Typically, what I see is people talking a lot about what their business does and going into technical nitty-gritty information. And what happens is that you might be consistently posting, and you may have been given that advice before with content, like just stay consistent, eventually it will happen. What I found is that if you're not getting results within 2 to 3 to 6 weeks from your content, and you're not seeing an increase in engagement, your content's wrong and you need to change it. And that really comes from the message of what you're putting out there. Because if you don't, you're just going to end up blending in. And as you move through this, what you've got to realize is that consistency matters when you've got everything else right. Yes, you're going to make subtle changes. Yes, you're going to try and improve along the way. But if you're getting nothing right now, that should be a big red flag that something isn't correct. And therefore, you need to make some changes. We've done this a lot with lots of people, and Nick is one of them that you can see. I'm not going to read that out for you. You can read it yourself, right? But when you get this right, you will go from having either a feast and famine approach where you get loads of work and then you have to fight for it, or you'll go from having no work and getting a little bit and trying to remain it consistent. But when you start speaking the right language, which I'm going to share with you in a second, you will see everything start to increase almost immediately. And if it doesn't, again, red flag to make the change. And it all starts with this question here. And it's something which we get everyone to begin with. And it's really basic, which is why I always say it in every workshop that I run. Do you actually know, if you were to look at your social media profiles, why someone should follow you? I mean, in the chat box now, right, it's completely confidential. No one can see. But answer that question for yourself. Can you, in 4 to 5 words, sum up why someone should follow you? Like for me, if you want to learn how to make money online, that's why you follow me. My profile is out there to do that, right? That's what the key reason. If you want to learn how to make money online, click the follow button, come and follow me. The thing with all of this is typically what people default to, and I'm not trying to pick up on anyone for their answers. I appreciate all of your answers coming in, right? But what you think about when you answer that question for yourself, typically for the first time, it's like, it's because I'm really good, or it's because I really, really care about who I'm trying to help. But that's actually when someone else sees that, they don't immediately connect with it because like, well, that's what everyone says. So what I need you to think about is what can you offer practically that's going to give someone a reason to keep coming back to you? Like, what's that reason? What's that trigger to save your content, to keep coming back to your profile? And if you're unsure, what I always ask people to do is go and have a look and try and research who the number one in your space is currently. I'm nowhere near number one in what the people have got huge audiences out there. I have a way that I do things that I think is quite blunt. It's effective. It helps people. However, there are people out there that have got much larger businesses than me, that have got much larger levels of engagement than me. So I've got a lot of work to do. And I look at their profiles and I'm like, right, how can I interpret that and do that in my own way? How can I look at leveraging certain ideas and actually put my spin on it to grow quicker? And one of the things that I take some time to do, and I don't spend long doing it, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes a week, just go and have a look at the comment sections of the people that use these platforms well, that do what you do. Go and have a look at what the audiences are commenting. Go and have a look in the comment sections and look in detail of the words that are being used. Go onto YouTube and type in the keywords that relate to what you do. And again, go and look in the comment sections, because I tell you what, there is so much gold when you take the time to do it. And you will identify key gaps in your space, which you can then start to pinpoint and leverage. And this is something that's really important. We spend lots of time on calls with people, like creating strategies that are going to help them gain this attention. And then what we do, especially on the phone call, we dive deep into the content types that creator is actually best positioned to do. So I know I'm not a short form content creator. I hate doing it. You put me on a podcast and get me talking for an hour like I am today, I'm able to really shine. However, you tell me to try and sum up a point in 20 seconds, I can't do it. You ask me to write a long blog, I get bored within about 10 minutes of trying to write something. And therefore, I've got to create the content that I know I'm going to be able to really show off how good I am doing it. And that then takes a little bit of practice. And an example of this is one of my old clients, Eric. Some of you might follow Eric. He's blowing up on LinkedIn at the moment, but it's because he found the right content type for him. Like Eric has a podcast on YouTube and it does extremely well. And on LinkedIn, he posts the content over and over again that he knows works. And it's all different for every single person's profile, but it's not the graphic type content that typically works for the majority of people. It works for Eric because the content that he's sharing is just so different. It's information that people really find valuable. If you look in the comment section, you can see in-depth comments being left from people agreeing and disagreeing with him. Now, if he goes and creates a short form video, he's probably not going to get the same level of engagement. So he sticks to what he's good at. He sticks to the level of detail. And what you've all got to figure out is what is your preferred content type that you can consistently do. And this is something that I talk to everyone about. I spoke to Jamie about it as well. And one thing is for sure, no matter what industry you're in right now, and you'll probably all agree with me on this, is that it is getting more and more competitive out there. I've told you that the amount of people using LinkedIn is growing. The amount of people posting, commenting, messaging, it's growing. So you've got to get better. You can't keep doing the same stuff that you were doing a year ago, especially if it's not getting results right now. And with Jamie, we actually focused in on his offer at the beginning. So with anyone that I work with, I have to get right. I have to work in on your message. I have to get your product right. I have to get your target market right. And then I have to get the offer right. All four things make up clarity, which is absolutely critically important to the whole of this process. If you've not got those four things nailed, your marketing and sales will typically be really, really awkward, and it won't give you the consistent results that you're after. You've got to get clarity right. And then from there, you can move into the different phases, which I'll share with you a little bit later on. But with Jamie, we knew that if he was going to create a property training program, which is what he does, he couldn't just do a typical 2-day program that loads of other people did. He had to do things different. And so what we did the research on was actually what were people crying out for in that space that we could leverage to disrupt it. And what we noticed was that there was a sheer lack of accountability. It was 2 days in a course and then you were left on your own. So we created an accountability program. That was the way that it was framed. And it was get your first deal in 90 days. And if you didn't, you would work with Jamie until you did. So it was very focused in on being proactive with a property investment strategy. And what we did was when we put that out to market, because it was different, suddenly we got a lot of attention really, really quickly. And what we noticed was we were getting lots of feedback back from people that other property educators were just letting people down, weren't fulfilling on promises. And therefore, what we did was we created 5 core fundamental promises that we were going to make, and we made sure that we delivered upon them every single time. These are all things that you can use to start really framing what you do in a way that speaks directly to your consumer. And when we did that, we noticed that there wasn't really anyone that was out there truly helping people get started. So we looked at LinkedIn, we looked at YouTube. And again, we created the strategy for it. We got all the content ideas in place. And we just went out there and started to create, almost avoiding the metrics to begin with. We didn't look at the subscriber rate. We didn't look at the views. We just thought, you know what, let's just put out on YouTube the best content we possibly can for someone right at the beginning of their journey, because that was who we wanted to help at the beginning. And his channel blew up. And then so did the revenue as a result of that. Because again, he got the audience right, he got the message right, and he got the offer right. All 3 things tied together, boom, you'll see the growth that you're after. But the majority of people, unfortunately, are winging it through this stage. And therefore, they'll see an immediate spike of business, and then slowly but surely it starts to fade away. And with that, then you can look at your audience. So when it comes to audience growth, some people out there will tell you that the size of your following doesn't matter. The number of connections that you've got isn't important. It's the quality of them. Well, I kind of agree with quality, yes, but actually, when I look at the sheer fact of our business over time, the statement that's on the screen there, I can't echo or shout any louder. Like the bigger my audience has got, the easier this has all become. What I notice is most people just aren't growing their audience fast enough to keep up with the amount of pitching they're trying to do. And therefore, what's happening is that they're killing their audience to the point where their content never shows in a newsfeed. You may have noticed this already, but when you first connect with someone, have you ever noticed that you see their content all the time for about 2 or 3 days? They're always in your newsfeed. Have you ever seen that? You first connect with someone, boom, they're in your face. But then have you ever noticed that over time, Suddenly they just disappear. And then you no longer see them again. I guarantee you will have people that you follow, that you want to see in your newsfeed, that you want to show up, but they never do. Friends, colleagues, whether it's business partners, their content never shows up. And the reason being is because the way that these algorithms work, if you want to try and take a good guess at it, it's because if you don't engage with something, right, they're not going to show it to you again. So it's all about compounding. It's all about building this up. And what I find is that most people just overcomplicate this. What I look at doing is just focusing on the key fundamentals that's going to make someone follow me. And it's those three core things there. If you're not maxing out your connection requests right now, if you're not building your network and getting the weekly limit every single week, you're missing out on opportunity. You can grow on average between 300 to 400 connections just by hitting that network request button with people that you may not even know right now. Go and build out your network and press connect. From there, you can then look to collaborate with others. So go and look at people that do things that are similar to you. Go and look at all the podcasts that are out there that speak about what you do. Go and look at all the YouTube channels and actually reach out and see if you can create content with these people. If you can go to different networking events and start speaking on stages, again, all of this stuff is collaboration, which will drive more and more people to your social media profiles. I made a rule right at the beginning of my journey that I wasn't going to have business cards, right? People used to go around to these networking events and just hand business cards out. And I just thought it was stupid because I'm like, with a business card, no one then gets to see anything from me. No one ever gets any then more information from me. I have to rely on them to book a call in with me, which reality, most people don't do. So I got them to follow me on social media. That was it. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on LinkedIn. And every event that I went to, my audience would grow. My content would then do its work because that third stage of creating, for me, I don't look to create to generate leads. My content on social media has no focus, maybe 5%, maybe 1%, has a 1% focus on lead generation. It might be when I put out my complete guide to social selling, right? I may get one post in a month that I put out there promoting that. But the rest of it is creating to try and get as much attention as I possibly can. That's it. That's all I'm looking to create for. So if you're not getting impressions, if you're not getting over 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 impressions, what you need to focus in on is creating the content that this platform wants that's going to give you the exposure that you need. Because that is what understanding the art of this game is about. And the people that are getting the most impressions, the most engagement, when you then connect that to the converting process, boom, you see the revenue go up. And this is something that my business partner, Nick, has done. So Nick only started really using LinkedIn a couple of years ago, only properly a year ago, if you look at the numbers of it all. Now, Nick's actually got his own workshop that he's running on business growth at 12 o'clock. So if anyone wants the link to that, just drop me a message on LinkedIn and I'll send you the link for it. But if you look at Nick's posts here of what he's doing, you can see the sorts of content that he puts out there. Again, it's around about his actual personal passions. It's about his business passions, and he gets the reactions as a result of it. You can see here the sorts of titles that he used. Now, again, you don't have to use the language that he does in it. However, you've got to look at topics which are going to drive conversation. If you're going to do anything with your content, have the mindset of how can I start a conversation in the comment section with this piece of content? How do I get someone triggered? How do I get someone emotionally invested in what I've got to say? Because when you do that, your engagement rises consistently. And you'll see this here, right? Back in May of 2022, Nick's connection total was 4,755. Look at it now, 19,127 in just over a year. That's 15,000 new followers just from applying the principles that are actually really simple in concept. This stuff isn't difficult, but it's just understanding how to play this game properly to get the attention that you want. And this is something that we do in the academy every single day. Every single day, people are tracking their connection and follower numbers. We need to make sure it's going in the right direction every single day. Otherwise, you're just going to get left behind and miss out on this opportunity. And at the end of today, what I'm going to be giving you is a session with me. It's completely free. It's 30 minutes. I'm going to talk through a number of different things like I did with Jamie, like I did with a number of people that you've seen on this workshop today already. I'm going to spend time talking to you about your message and what changes you need to make to start building an audience at speed. I'm going to review your end-to-end sales process. And I'm going to get you to actually talk me through what you're doing right now from a sales point of view to generate revenue. I'm then going to look at your offer, and then we're going to look at different ways to make it more compelling. I have 15 slots available. So you'll see when I give you the link in a second, there's only 15 slots available. If you'd like one, the QR code is there for you to be able to scan now. So that should take you directly to my Calendly link, which will give you, you need to answer a couple of questions to be able to do it. Please do take the time to answer them, whether it's just a few lines or so. It just gives me the context of who you are and what you're about, so I can actually do a little bit of prep beforehand. But it's pipeline44.com/apply if you want to have one of those conversations. You'll see the QR code throughout today's workshop anyway. So you will, if you haven't got it, it is there in the top right-hand corner as well throughout today. So you've got it there as well. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. So to wrap up positioning for you, there's some few points here that I'm going to bring up so you can take a photo of. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about them because they're pretty much just summarizing that whole section. But one of the biggest things is that point number 4. It's about being open to change what it is that you're currently doing. For me, most people aren't open enough to make some quite dramatic changes to start standing out. And if you do have that mindset, this will work for you. If you don't, you're just going to continue getting what you've got right now. And for a lot of people, that just isn't enough. Okay, so that's positioning for you. If you have any questions about it, use the Q&A section. Now, as we move into the process section of today, what I want you, again, for you to think about, and what I will do, let me just do that for you. Yes, of course I will. So HTTPS, if I can do it properly. Give me 2 seconds, and that link will be there for you if the QR code isn't working. There you go. So with this process, what I want you to think about is, again, what have you currently got in place? And then more importantly, what haven't you? Now, I always say this with all of my workshops, whether you like me or you don't, what I'm sharing with you is the truth of what I've seen. And for me, people are spending so much time on social media getting 0 results, running lives to no one, posting, getting little to no engagement, sending messages, getting no responses, relying on automation to help themselves, and actually receiving comments from people of, this is really good, you're great at what you do. However, when you then look at the revenue side of things, it's consistently reducing and getting harder. And this is so true. Like, I do not doubt that people aren't putting effort in, because I can see that in your activity sections. I can see how much you're commenting, posting, how much you're out there, but you're just focusing your time in the wrong places. And this is going to sound quite harsh, but most people, and I say most because I speak to lots of them, when you look at their profiles, when you look at their content, it unfortunately is just a bit desperate. Like, it's like you're begging for people to engage, you're begging people to inquire. And the problem is that most people out there, especially in this coaching and consultant world, if you appear to be desperate and that you really need business and you're out there and you're like, I'm going to help so many people, the problem is with that is that the more you want it, the less it will come. And so what you've got to create is, and it sounds really backwards, but you've got to create this persona of, I don't really care if you engage with me or not. I don't really care if you want to talk to me or not. I've got a message. I'm sharing it because I believe it. If you want to work with me, I've only got limited slots. This is how it works. End of. And being really bold and confident and assertive in the way that you communicate, because when you do, you will attract more and more people. This whole playing hard to get thing, I know it sounds silly, but it's so true. And when you get a process in place, suddenly you'll have that confidence, because it's all about the numbers at the front end, making the difference then at the back end. Like I told you, 1,000 event attendees means typically 12 clients minimum for us every single month. And it's because of that process. And this is where it really drives through. So you look at connection control, you can see LinkedIn plays its part, live talks play their part, YouTube plays its part, your email list plays its part. And what I find is people have lots of these different bits, but they're not connected. And therefore, they're doing everyone a bit of a disservice. And the best way to explain it to you is to simply show you. Now, Donna has been working with us now for over a year. We do a lot of work with Donna, and she's done some amazing things. Now, some of you might be able to relate to it, but because she had lots of this process in place, but it just wasn't working. She had it in place because she'd worked with other marketing and business coaches before, but had just felt a bit disappointed at the results and the fact that it wasn't working and felt like she needed more. She booked in one of those calls. We took 30 minutes to review it. She ended up coming and working with us further. But on that review, what I did was showed her this process, right? We created a 6-week plan and showed her this process. We realized with it that she had those 4 things in place that were kind of there or kind of thereabouts, but there were definitely some changes we needed to make. So throughout that 6 weeks, when she joined us in the academy, we looked at it and we built out that process together. So she completed all the templates. She can use all the different work that we asked her to do. And within 6 weeks, she'd run that process end to end and then had something in place that she can repeat. And that's what we do with every single person that we work with. You can see on the right-hand side there, we give, and I've got lots more of this to come to show you the detail that we go into. But the amount of work that we do, it's very intense, this process, because every little detail matters. And that's why I find that lots of other people struggle in this consulting space, because they're not able to give the small, fine details that are actually making the difference. As an example, one of the things that I've seen a couple of people do recently in workshops is direct people during the presentation to free content. Oh, here's my free book, by the way. Yeah, here's my YouTube channel. Go here and see this. When you have like 2 different call to actions or multiple call to actions, what you create is uncertainty and indecision. So when you get to the end, rather than people actually booking a call in with you, they end up going and looking at your free content or saying to themselves they're going to and then never do, and get distracted by something else and ending up buying from someone else when in the reality they really needed you. It's those small details that when I watch webinars, when I look at content, the words that you use really matter. And that's why crafting a message is so important. That's why creating a conversion piece of content that you can drive your traffic towards is important. Because when you've got a webinar like this, or an audit in place, or a demo in place that converts, you know that actually there's different elements of this process that you can continuously tweak. It's not about starting afresh every single time. Loads of people are trying to find this silver bullet. And the reality is, no matter what you're being taught, it all works, but you're not giving it enough time and you're not getting the right advice to work out what changes you need to make to get it consistently working. Email lists are one of the most important things that you can have. Like with ours now, I cannot post on social for a month and still hit target, because our email list is that large now that it gives us the registrations that we need. You need to do the exact same thing. And then when you connect all of that to the offer, and this is a really important part of the process, it's something that we get everybody to think about and something that I'm sharing with you for the first time in any of these workshops that I've done. But with whatever it is that you do, if you can't create something and give it away for free and have people chasing for it, right? And have people fighting for it, then unfortunately, getting someone to buy from you is such a long stretch. To give you an example, we've spent a lot of time, hours and hours and hours, creating 2 resources. And the 2 resources are, we've got a guide that's got 100 content ideas in. Okay, there's a guide that we give away for free that's got 100 content ideas in. And we also have a complete guide to social selling. Now, that complete guide has basically got what I'm saying in this workshop, like wrapped up with even more detail in. Now, and by the way, if you want one of those, I've just opened up the chat box so it goes to absolutely everybody on there. If you want that 100 content ideas guide and that complete guide to social selling, just put guide in the chat box for me. And again, what we'll do is I'll download the list afterwards and I will get them sent out to you via email. Now, a lot of you are sending the guide messages to me. Now, what you don't see, I wish I could share my screen to see it, but we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We've had over 20 people in 45 seconds request that guide, whether it's 100 content ideas or the complete guide to social selling. If you don't get that reaction for anything that you give away for free right now, you need to make a change. If you have got lead magnets in place, free resources, a blog, if you have got webinars, workshops, if you've got courses that you give away, and you haven't got people commenting like they're commenting right now, it's still going, by the way, then things that you're giving away for free aren't good enough. And this is so, so important. If you're a startup, micro business, SME, or corporate, you've got to create this energy around what you do and get people fighting for what you want. Because when you give it away for free, You can then follow up with people and ask them, right, now you've downloaded it for free. What else do you want? How else can I help you? How else can I drive you forward? And this is why this process works, because it's about hammering home this whole process end to end and getting you to 100% commit to it. Because when you do, that's where everything clicks into gear. Now with Donna, you get that converting process in place. This is what we said to her, get the converting process in place. And then it's about repeating it. Within 3 hours of her first workshop that we created, she didn't make huge amounts of money. $6,000 in 3 hours was nice. It was smooth, but that was the foundation of everything else. She then set the date for her next workshop, and we knew exactly what she needed to create. Now, Donna's conversion rate was just underneath 10%. So we knew that there was something in the messaging and something in the call to action that we needed to change. All the front end of the process from a traffic point of view was right. So we just said to Donna, keep going at the front. Keep with your content. The content you're doing is working. Keep with your messaging. It's working. Keep with your email marketing. It's working. We just need to focus in on the webinar right now. And with that, again, we got the results. 80 people registered, 33 attended, 2 people booked the call in, 2 people sign up from today's workshop straight through. We then had a little bit of like a pub evening. We had an hour on Zoom, just having a celebratory drink. And then again, when she runs it again, then you've got the statistics and the numbers to be able to make the changes. And with that, she went from getting 2 sales in a webinar to 5 to 10 and so on and so forth. But the reality is most people never get to see those results because they fail to get the best versions of themselves out there. Like for me, video, if you're not out there networking a lot right now and you're not creating video, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. Lots of people rely on the written word and photos to be able to build rapport up with people. I've built up more rapport with you on this workshop in the last 45 minutes than any of my previous content that I've done. Some of you have probably been on multiple workshops of mine. The video element of this helps you realize that I know what I'm talking about. So you've got to put yourself in this position and start doing more of the same thing. When you get assets like this, you can then drive people to your best content. You can then look to move people off of the platform to your email list so you then have control. You never want to be at the mercy of the social media algorithm. Trust me, I had 30,000 Instagram followers and the engagement went from being around about 15 to 20% to just under 1% within one big change of the platform. Suddenly I lost access to my audience. I had an email list that supported it, so I was able to move from Instagram to LinkedIn relatively quickly, but my email list is the hub. And therefore, if you're currently not building one, this is, again, a virtual kick at the backside to do so. Think about what your audience want, think about what the platforms want, and then start creating it. And as we then move through, you can start to just go scroll back through my newsfeed, and you can see the sorts of content that we put out there. Content that oozes credibility, content that showcases what we're doing, that we know what we're talking about, videos that really get us explaining things in a way that really stands out to everyone else. This stuff isn't difficult, but it's just about applying it in the right way with the right words, with the right language to get people to understand it. And Philippa, you're on here today, actually. I saw you pop up, but this screenshot will forever stay because it's our currently top performing post in the whole of our academy. And with this, it's absolutely massive because Philippa uses LinkedIn all the time. She used it before us. She uses it today. And with it, again, you can see there the difference one piece of content makes. Now, if you go to Philippa's profile, you can go and see what she spoke about there. It was slightly controversial. But again, when you're looking at growth, when you're looking at the way that things work, you can see here, it only takes one piece of content. 50 messages thanking me for being advised, 5 bespoke package proposals going out this week. And she grew from 7,000 to 7,600 in 5 days. Most people have not seen that level of growth in a year. And this is the importance of getting your message right, because there is opportunity out there when you start getting things into gear. And this is another perfect example, right? This is our process in action, because when you've got a webinar like this, you can drive people to the replay. And so when I'm prospecting, you can see the message here that I sent out in February. This then gets followed up by a YouTube video that drives people to a workshop to get people to watch it. Now, I'll give you it. Most people probably don't watch it. However, I know that 1 or 2 will. And therefore, this is where the impact happens. I have no idea if Caroline actually clicked that link and watched it. What I do know is you can see here, I get a message a month later, 32 days later. Can you tell me a little bit more about the Social Selling Academy you advertise on your profile? I was like, of course I can. Not a problem at all. here's my phone number. Let's jump on a phone call. Let's talk about things. Jump onto Zoom and we could talk through your strategy. She booked in one of the strategy calls that a number of you have already here today as well. And I then sent her the training video, and you can see here 2:21, 2:22, 5:35, 3 hours later. Love the webinar, signed up. When you get this in place, it is an asset. It is a weapon. And this isn't a one-off. Every single week when you utilize a process like this, it's just about getting things in line, getting things in order, and then trusting the process. Like, do not go and get another silver bullet. Do not chase another shiny penny. This works. It's just about getting the right offer, the right audience, the right product, and getting it all in line with the right process that gets you the calls that you need. It's all here every single time, over and over and over again. And every Monday and Thursday, we do get together as a group and we talk about it. So some top tips for your process are there for you. I think the biggest one is that point number 4 again, right? Do not guess your way to success. If you feel like you are winging it right now, you are losing out on opportunity. When you get it right, the numbers will tell you what to change. If your show up rate isn't 50%, there's changes you need to make. If you are not getting 1,000 people to say yes to a LinkedIn event in a month, the way that you're advertising the event needs to change. If you're not getting more than 500 followers in a month, your content needs to change. All the fundamental things. You don't need to change it all at once. Small, subtle changes every single time. And when you then do, you can focus in on the presentation. Because it's all well and good having traffic. It's all well and good having followers. It's all well and good having email addresses. But how do you get a sort of result that Ashley got there as well when he launched his mentoring package? The trick is, don't treat a live event like a masterclass. Don't look to add loads of value. Don't try and add loads of information for an hour and then rush through a pitch at the end. Like, this just leads to sheer frustration. Instead, run a workshop trying to highlight what everyone is doing wrong, why they're getting it wrong, and why what you do is the answer. This is why your offer is so important, because if you haven't got the answer, you need to work it out. You need to find a way of consistently delivering upon it. And then you can run a workshop to help people realize that what you're doing does work and the changes are very simple. This is how we've done it with so many people. The language is where we start. What are we going to use to grab attention? What hooks are we going to use? What headlines are we going to use? We then put that into a presentation structure like you've seen today. This webinar follows the structure. 3 specific sections, all highlighting what people are doing wrong, why they're doing it wrong, and what changes they need to make. My pitch, as you've seen, I will introduce you to the Academy in a short second, right? But it's not hard. People want it, they do. If they don't, that's also cool. It's irrelevant. My job here today is to wake people up to what works and, more importantly, what doesn't. That's why I'm online. That's why our business exists. And when you get this right, you can see the sorts of contracts that are being won from it. And some big pieces of advice with your presentation, some things to take away, to note down. I have never actually sold anything on here, right? I've also not told you for fact that you need to do something. What I have done is shared from my own experience. I've focused my message on the mistakes that me and our clients have made in the past. And what I'm doing is shining a light on why people should stop making them and what they should be doing what they should be doing different. You can see here, I've used examples to be able to demonstrate it. I help people come to the realization that they know what they are doing is wrong and that they need to change something. And if they believe that I can help them and they want to work with someone like me, then my next logical step is the obvious choice. Let me make this really clear. It is not about packing it full of information. All you do if you try and teach everything in an hour is overwhelm people, and you'll be doing them a disservice. And what I tend to do with lots of people, because the messaging is like something that we focus in on, it's my specialist subject. I will probably spend 15 minutes with you, and I will actually show you how I would pitch your product back to you in a way that you can then copy. So you can record it, you can then take it, and you can start to use it. It's something that we do with all of our Academy members. And you can see there from what James said, next meeting we had, almost sold me money. This stuff isn't difficult. It's understanding how language works to be able to get it. And Alison is another prime example. So this is just the level of support that we offer in the Academy, so you can see it. Again, was struggling, have my webinar next week, really would appreciate some time talking through it. So we jumped on a call on a Friday, spoke through, and she made the changes. Okay, so she did a practice recording and made the changes. I went back and gave her some feedback on it. Love how you incorporate the personal development. When you finish this slide, say this, rather than calling it a case study, instead do this. So it's subtle changes that you can make, very specific to the way that she was delivering. And then boom, 2 new clients at the back of the webinar. Milestones, these are the first clients I've had since not being known or referred to them. That is what we see a lot of. People that get lots of referral business, lots of word of mouth, are typically good at what they do. But what we do is help them translate that into a way that strangers understand it. So therefore, you're not reliant on referrals anymore. You are being proactive in your business development. It's crucially important. And so, like, I've not spent too long talking about presentation because I have a whole specific workshop on the presentation. But there's some things here to think about if you want to take a photo of them. Like, my top thing is really that top line there. Like, empathy, energy, and enthusiasm are the 3 things that you need when you're trying to deliver a workshop like this. You need to be considerate. You need to understand that not everyone's going to get it the first time. You need to have enough energy and enthusiasm to drive people to want to change. And you've got to really believe in what you do. And then again, this comes back to clarity: product, audience, offer, message, all 4 things. That gives you the confidence then to be able to drive this message home. And that's all this is today, right? I know that if you want to start generating a consistent flow of leads, it's the same thing that I've spoken about. You don't need to be spending hundreds of hours online. You don't need to be spending longer than 30 minutes a day online, right? All you need is a process in place that nurtures people from stranger to customer, and then a promotional plan to give you the traffic that you're after consistently. Just need to fill the front end. And that's what I want to talk to you about in terms of how I can help you specifically do that with our social selling suite. Now, some of you are already part of the suite. I can see your names on here. But this is for you if you would like to work with me, my business partners, Sam and Nick, and our team to help you build out this process. So this isn't done for you. We do this with you. We will keep you accountable. We will drive you forward. And what we're going to do is give you a system that you can use that just drives leads in every single month. What we have put together are just a specific set of roadmaps. And again, you work with us on Zoom and we drive you through this process from start to finish, from product offering to message framing, to picking your campaign, building your audience, to conversion, end to end, from clarity to connection, to content to control, to conversion and close. We take you through every single step along the way. And what we're going to do is build out this process into your business. Very, very straightforward, very, very simple. May seem complex there, but you can even see at the top, there are content plans for you to follow at each stage to be able to drive this forward. What we are going to do is just force you to implement it. We're not going to let you off the hook, right? We're going to drive you forward. And every step that you complete, you send it to us and we'll give you the feedback like you can see here. So you all have your bespoke Slack channel. And what we do is we will take you through step by step. And at each stage, you send us the work with a deadline that's on there. And we will then hold you accountable to that deadline, give you your feedback and move you to your next step. And the Social Selling Academy package works like this, really, really simple. You get 12 months access to our e-learning platform. You get personalized feedback every step of the way. So we look at everything from your product to your offer, your landing pages, sales pages, to your email marketing, to the way that you handle your sales calls, to the way that you often onload clients, everything from start to finish. We will hold you accountable to delivering this process. You get one-to-one calls with us and our team to actually drive that forward. So what we do is we will have an initial call and then we utilize the calls as deadlines and drive you through it. You get access to our weekly and training mentoring calls. So every Monday and Thursday, we come on as a group. And we also have all the templates that you can use. So from presentation templates to email to content creation. And we also have a full LinkedIn and Sales Navigator training program that my business partner, Sam, created that you work through for the front-end traffic part. We train on all elements of social, but LinkedIn is where the deep dive training is. All of that, I'm not going to long-wind it out. It's 250 quid a month for the year. You work with us. It's very straightforward. And my job is within the first 6 weeks is to absolutely hammer this home for you. So you've got a process just like Donna did that you can rinse and repeat. People, for me, totally underestimate the support in this program. We've got over 300 people in it, sharing ideas, education, tips every day. And it's not just randomers looking at your work. We look at it. So we are going to give you really bespoke and slick feedback, just like you can see here. bullet point by bullet point of what you need to change, why you need to change it. So you actually learn the skill set of how to do this yourself. That is the most important thing. You've got the process that you're going to facilitate. You're then going to get the skill set to actually understand what you need to change, why you need to change it to keep it working over and over again. And the feedback, literally, it's every day. We're watching webinars, we are reviewing sales calls, we are looking at websites and landing pages. And with that, the results come from end to end, funnel structures, messaging, it's all there. If you want to have a look at what we're about online, there are hundreds of reviews out there about us. Like we don't hide anything that we do. It's all there. I'm not going to read all those out for you because literally it would take me all day. The big one is, I've got two specific ones, and there's two big points for anyone that wants to join us. It's what everything is said in this review here. Just do what we say, not what this man says. Just do what we say. Like if you follow our process, it's worked time and time again. It's why we've got so much positive stuff about us out there. Same thing here. Like just listen and do as we say. Trust the process. Don't chop and change. If you're going to commit to it and get it done. And with that, the results come. Angie's had some amazing results from it. 26 leads in total off the back of one call, one webinar that she ran. It's a simple process. It's not hard. It's just sticking to it. And so I know some of you have already booked those calls in. I will talk to you about the Academy on those calls as well. But there's 50. I don't know how many there are available because, again, that QR code's been up for pretty much the whole session. They are only for the next 3 days because we're looking at onboarding for the next few months. We have just recently taken on, again, a core group of people that are going through, which we are currently working through. And this workshop, I just promised to do it before the end of the year. And obviously, because I was ill last week, it's been a week later. But if you have any questions, I will go through the Q&A now and take you through them. But I'll leave that QR code up there for anyone that's got anything. It doesn't actually look like we had many questions coming through, which is good. For those of you that asked for the guide, we will give that to you. The live calls are Mondays at 12 p.m, Thursdays at 2 p.m, but they are all recorded as well. So they're all there for you. Sorry if I missed it, Chris. I had to mute this for and take a call. How much do you charge typically? Chris, yeah, so we're 250 quid a month for what I'm talking about today for you. So you've got it. I don't want it to keep you here for any longer than you need to be. I don't know how long this actual workshop has been today. I don't know what the time is. We are bang on the hour, so I'm on time, which is excellent. Just give me an emoji if you found that useful. Thumbs up, smiley face, or angry face if you haven't. Go on, let me see it. I hope I've not wasted your time too much. I hope you've found something of value today. For those of you that have booked your calls in, look forward to speaking to you. It looks like we've got a few happy people, which is great. Perfect stuff. For any of you that have any questions, I'll obviously see you on LinkedIn. If you've not booked a call in, have an amazing day, and I'll speak to you all very soon. See you later. Bye-bye.